Hey guys, welcome back to Sparkman Homestead. Here is this week's meals for you. So we're going to start this video out not with a meal, but well, I guess it could be a meal, but it's kind of, I consider it a snack. We love hummus, so I thought I would show you guys how easy it is to make hummus from scratch, and you can kind of make it whatever way, like you can add flavoring to it. I did decide to actually add flavoring to this one, and I'll show you at the end. So what we're going to do to get started is we are going to take one 15-ounce can of chickpeas, and we're just going to drain it and rinse it really well, and then we're going to put that into a food processor. We're going to come in and add 2 tablespoons of tahini, and then you want to add 1 tablespoon of olive oil, 1 tablespoon of freshly squeezed lemon juice. If you don't have freshly squeezed like I didn't in this situation, I'm just using bottled lemon juice and it works perfect. 1 tablespoon of water to start. You will potentially most likely need more later on, so get ready more than 1 tablespoon. 2 cloves of garlic. I'm just using my pre-mint stuff that's frozen in cubes, so I'm just gonna add that in. A 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt and 2 teaspoons of soy sauce. So what you wanna do is you just wanna combine that and then just mix it until you get to the consistency that you like. So I stopped it, looked at it, and I noticed that it wasn't quite where I wanted it. So I added in a couple more tablespoons of that water, and I just do this until it gets to be that smooth consistency that we really like. We really like to have all of the chickpeas like good and ground up in it, like so that it is a smooth paste. Essentially, this is what the texture is that we like. There's still a little bit of chunkiness, but it's pretty smooth. So I just empty that out into glass Pyrex dish here, one that just goes in my fridge because I store this in my fridge. And then you can top this with whatever you want to top it with, like a red pepper flake is a really yummy thing to do. I use this hot chili paste, put it on top of mine, or hot chili sauce, whatever it's called, and it is just super delicious, and it is so easy to make and quick. For the next meal, we are gonna make a Hamburger Helper. Now you may notice that in the last couple of videos and even in this one, I am definitely making larger amounts than I normally do. We have my mother-in-law living with us right now, so I am just making more food just to make sure that everybody has good amounts, plus to make sure that we all have leftovers for the next day. So this particular recipe, I actually ended up doubling it, but what I'm going to do is leave the link for it in the video description, and in my description that I'm giving you guys, I will just tell you as if it is just I'm doing a single serving of it, or 1 recipe worth of it. So I'm taking 2 pounds, or in this recipe case, 1 pound of ground beef, and we're just gonna cook that over a medium-high heat, and then just cook it until it is nice and brown. While it is cooking, I am just grating up 1 cup of a cheddar cheese. I'm just using a smoked cheddar for this recipe. It definitely added that beautiful smoked taste to it. If you have smoked cheddar, I get mine from Azure. I'd strongly recommend ordering it or getting it. It just really elevates a recipe. So once that ground beef was cooked through, what I did was just drain the excess fat. Once we get it drained, we're gonna add it back to our stock pot, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna come in and add 1 cup of uncooked macaroni noodles to this. Just stir it in with the beef, and then add 1 cup of boiling water to that. Now I came in and added more boiling water because I noticed that it was getting really absorbed quickly. You have to stir this occasionally while you are boiling it. So you want to cover and simmer this for 10 to 12 minutes until the macaroni is cooked through. You just want to come in and stir it periodically just to make sure that it's not sticking to the bottom. And I was also just doing kind of a check again to make sure my water levels were perfectly fine. So in a small bowl, what you want to do is take 2 cups of milk, and you want to whisk in 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, and you're just going to whisk that until it is completely dissolved. Then you're going to take that mixture, that milk mixture, and pour it into your skillet. And then what you want to do is add 1 tablespoon of paprika, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of mustard powder, and then you just want to stir that. So you want to cook that over a medium-high heat, or sorry, a medium-low heat for about 5 to 7 minutes until that sauce gets nice and thick. And then you want to come in and add that 1 cup of shredded cheddar cheese, and you're just going to cook that until that cheese is melted. And then you want to just season it with some salt and pepper to taste. Now it does say to let it rest for a few minutes before serving. Now, because I ended up doubling this recipe, I think it really kind of messed it up a little bit because it was kind of like a soupy Hamburger Helper. It was definitely really soupy is the best word I can describe it. It was like a Hamburger Helper soup. It still tasted really delicious. Definitely needed a lot more salt than I ended up putting in it. But other than the soupy mess that I made here, it was a really nice tasting recipe. I made some of my canned beans and we had that on the side. For the next meal, we are going to do what's called a Panda Express kind of copycat recipe. We are going to attempt to make some ground chicken, orange chicken. Instead of the ground chicken, I'm actually using ground turkey. We have so much ground turkey right now, so I'm just getting it used in place of the ground chicken because I don't actually think I have any ground chicken. They are both very interchangeable. So to get started with this recipe, we need to make the orange sauce. So you're going to take 1 tablespoon of rice wine, combine it with 2 tablespoons of water, half a teaspoon of sesame oil, 4 teaspoons of soy sauce, and then 5 tablespoons of sugar. I went so easy with the sugar. Again, I'm doubling this recipe, so you guys are going to see me just adding a whole bunch. I actually did not add an equal 5 tablespoons because I thought that was going to be way too much. It was unnecessary to have that much. And then you're going to add 5 tablespoons of a white vinegar, and then you want to add the zest of half an orange. Once you get everything added, just give that a little bit of a whisk and set that aside. So next you want to make the cornstarch mixture. What you need to do is take 1 tablespoon of cornstarch and dissolve that in 1 tablespoon of water. Just give that a little stir and set aside. I definitely would not recommend making this ahead of time because my cornstarch just kind of all settled to the bottom. I would literally make this right before you need it, but what the recipe was doing was just trying to get you to have everything pre-prepped beforehand, which I usually do anyways, but I wouldn't recommend doing the cornstarch ahead of time. So then you're going to add 1 tablespoon of oil to a skillet. I added probably about 5 tablespoons there, so I just was pouring some of it off. And then you're going to come in and add 1 pound of ground chicken or ground turkey, and then you're just going to cook that until it's completely cooked through. And then you want to come in and add 2 teaspoons of garlic minced. So I would say maybe of like 1 to 2 garlic cloves, and then 1 tablespoon of a ginger root mince. I just grated some ginger root in and it worked really well. I wanted to add a little bit of a kick to this, so I came in and added half a teaspoon of red pepper flakes. The recipe recommends a 1/4 teaspoon. So you just want to stir that all together, get everything kind of cooked through, and then what you want to do is add that orange sauce that you made, and then you're going to bring that to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, you're going to add in that cornstarch mixture and then cook it for a few more seconds until it completely thickens. I gave it a little taste test after it was kind of done doing its thickening, and I decided it wasn't spicy enough, so I came in and added some of this red chili sauce. It just elevated it. It made it so delicious. So one of the items that we are going to have on the side is some edamame beans from my last year's garden. So I just steamed those edamame beans until they were good and cooked through, and then I just put a little bit of Redmond's real salt on it and some sesame seed oil and just kind of tossed that until it was all combined. These were really, really delicious edamame beans. One thing that I had extra because we just grated the orange was I had that full orange, so I cut the orange up and just kind of had that on the side for us. And then I have a hard time drinking water. I'm not a fan of it, but I know I need to drink a lot more. So I find that if I flavor my water, even with the littlest thing, so in this situation, I literally just took 2 orange slices and just squeezed them in my water. It makes it a little bit more tolerable for me to drink it. And so that's what I did with my water that particular night. Kind of made like a slight orange juice. Not really, just a slight bit of orange flavor. So earlier in the day, I had made some rice, just some plain white rice, and we had that underneath, and this was really, really good. It was a good alternative to the Panda Express. I am so excited to share with you guys this next meal. We are going to make the best, and I cannot stress it enough, the best grilled cheese sandwich I have ever made. This is a barbecue chicken grilled cheese sandwich, and it was just, I posted it on my Instagram, and I cannot recommend this enough. It was so amazing and so easy to make. To get started, I took 2 jars of my home canned tomato soup recipe. I believe I did a video showing you guys how I made that, and if I can find it, I will leave it linked for you. It is a delicious, delicious recipe. It kind of is comparable to like the condensed Campbell soup recipe. You should add some milk to it just to thin it out a little bit. I'd actually forgot to add the milk in this situation. It still was fine. It was just more of a concentrated soup, but yeah, really, really good. If I can find the recipe, I'll leave it linked for you. So this recipe is excellent to do if you have leftover chicken. That's how I ended up finding this recipe, was I just kind of Googled leftover chicken recipes. This one popped up. So happy it popped up. So you want to take 2.5 cups of a shredded roasted chicken, perfect if you have leftover rotisserie chicken. And then you want to a skillet add about 1 to 2 tablespoons of an olive oil, and you're going to put in about 3 cloves of garlic minced and just get that garlic nice and kind of sauteed and fragrant, about 30 seconds. And then you're going to throw in that shredded chicken, and then you want to add in half a teaspoon of paprika. I used a smoked paprika because again, we're going with that barbecue flavor. And then it says 1 teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce, but 1 teaspoon is not how I roll with Worcestershire. I went in probably with about 1 to 2 tablespoons. I love it and I go nuts with it. And then you're gonna add 1 cup of barbecue sauce. I just used my Cowboy Candy barbecue sauce. I know I have a video on that. I just actually did that recently, I think. So again, I will leave that link there for you guys. So you're gonna get that cooked through. It usually just takes about 5 minutes just to get everything kind of worked together and heated through. So you wanna come in and we're gonna like flavor our bread with a little bit of, you know, pizzazz. Like you don't want just a regular bread. This is like level up grilled cheese. So you're going to come in and add a 1/4 cup of butter. You just want to melt that. Once it's melted, you're going to add 2 cloves of garlic, and then if you want 2 teaspoons of parsley minced. I chose to omit the parsley. It just went with the plain garlic butter. And then you're going to take slices of bread. So I just was using some regular homemade sandwich bread that I made, and you're just going to slice it up to be pretty thick. The recipe does recommend using a sourdough bread or at least a very sturdy white bread. Mine wasn't super sturdy, but it held up perfectly fine. So you're going to take that butter sauce and you're going to coat the bread really liberally with it. Like you want to almost soak that bread with it. And then you're going to take some Havarti slices. You could use any cheese that you want. The recipe just called for Havarti, so I ended up getting some Havarti cheese for it. Well, actually, I picked it up a while ago. So you're going to put Havarti cheese on, and then you're going to put that barbecue chicken, and then you're going to put another slice of Havarti over top of that. Now, I chose on mine, this was just mine that I'm making here, I chose to put some maple onion jam on mine. That, I think right there was where it elevated. The original recipe actually called to take 1 small red onion and thinly slice it and just cook that and then add it. But I was the only one eating on this particular night that actually liked onions on it. So that's why I put that jam on mine. I tell you, if you have that maple onion jam, I don't think I did a video on it, and I'm probably going to end up doing a video this year because it is one of my favorite toppings for things like this. But yeah, just cook the grilled cheese like you normally would cook it. Just cook it on both sides. It usually takes about, you know, depending on how hot your pan is, about 5 minutes per side. So we just ended up having the grilled cheese with the soup, and I just fell in love with this sandwich. Like the video does not do it justice. Like the photo that I posted on Instagram was just, it was so good. strongly recommend this recipe. Oh, and then with the tomato sauce or tomato soup, I chose to put a little parm on it and some pepper, and it was just an amazing meal. For the next meal, we are going to do a really quick salad. Now, I have the chicken out in this picture because you could definitely add chicken to the salad. I didn't end up adding the chicken to it because it was really good by itself. So the salad we're going to make is a kale salad with a sweet apple cinnamon vinaigrette and Parmesan pecans. So we're going to get started with making the Parmesan pecans. You're going to take about half a cup of pecans and just put them into a 300-degree oven, and you're just going to spread them in a thin layer and cook it for about 7 to 9 minutes. You're just wanting to lightly toast them, get them nice and golden. And then while the pecans were in the oven, I decided to get my kale all cleaned up. So the recipe calls to use 1 bunch of kale, and then you just want to de-stem it and then tear the leaves up into small little bite-sized pieces. I would say I probably use maybe about 4 cups of kale in this. So you're just going to get it rinsed off. I have this amazing salad spinner. Just get it nice and dry. This thing gets a workout when it comes springtime because that is when we're in salad season. I'd actually gone to a local farmer's market. I think it was actually on this day, and I picked this kale up. I also got some lettuce that I'm going to have in another meal this week, but I picked that up because I was just craving greens. And part of my pantry challenge rule that I have set for myself is that I'm allowing myself dairy products and fresh produce because I can't go without fresh produce. It really affects me. So that was one of my exceptions. So we're gonna get the dressing started out. So what you need to do is take 3 tablespoons of an apple cider vinegar, 2 tablespoons plus 1 teaspoon of a lemon juice. I just used a canned lemon juice in this. You can use fresh if you have it. 2 tablespoons of a pure maple syrup, half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon of fine sea salt, 1 tablespoon of a olive oil. I used an avocado oil in this. And then it calls for 2 tablespoons of an unsweetened applesauce. I just ended up using a orange juice in this because I didn't have an open applesauce. You could probably also use like an apple juice as well. And then half a teaspoon of minced fresh peeled ginger. And you're just gonna whisk that together and then just set that aside. Next, what you wanna do is take your clean kale and put it into a nice size bowl. I picked the wrong size bowl here, so I'm just exchanging it into a bigger bowl because I realized that was gonna cause a mess by me using that size. So up the bowl to a big bowl, and then we're just adding our kale to this, and then you want to pour that dressing over top of the kale. Make sure you get it all out of the bowl. That cinnamon tends to stick to the sides. And then what you want to do is just massage it into that kale. Just make sure that it is evenly coated on all of the kale leaves, and then you're going to put this into the fridge for at least 30 minutes. It stresses at least 30 minutes. Put that in the fridge, let it kind of do its marinating thing, and then the pecans were done. So to a mini food processor, what we're gonna do is take those toasted pecans. Oh, the other thing you actually should do is let the pecans cool for at least 5 minutes after you take them out of the oven. So once they're cooled, then we're gonna add them to the food processor, and then you're gonna come in and add 1.5 teaspoons of a nutritional yeast and 1/2 to 3 tablespoons of an extra virgin olive oil. I just used an avocado oil, and I came in with, I think I used 2 tablespoons of it, and then 1/4 teaspoon of a sea salt. Once you get everything added to the food processor, you want to process that until it's crumbly and combined. It also says that you can chop the pecans by hand and mix everything in a small bowl. So you're just going to set that aside. Next up, it comes time to assemble this amazing salad. So I'm going to take 1 apple and just cut it into little bite-sized pieces. I'm going to take a 1/4 cup, I'm eyeballing it because it's dried cranberries and they're delicious. So you're going to take about a 1/4 cup of dried cranberries and just sprinkle them on top. The recipe also suggests using 1/2 cup of pomegranates, like the little pomegranate pieces. I didn't have any, so I omitted that, but it would definitely be delicious with that. And you're gonna sprinkle the Parmesan on top of it, or the pecan Parmesan, and this was a great salad to have in the winter to kind of give you some greens. Okay, so for the last meal, we're gonna do a sweet treat. I always love to show you guys the sweet treats, and you are getting a bonus meal on this video because I normally only do 5 meals, but since the hummus and the soup or salad were really quick ones, I thought I would throw in another one here. So we are gonna make an oil-free chocolate zucchini muffin. I had some zucchini in my deep freeze that I noticed was starting to get freezer burn, so I needed to get it used up. So I had actually taken it out that morning and just kind of let it thaw out, and then put it over top of this strainer and let it drain. That's how much water came out of it. You want to make sure you are draining your zucchini because it is very liquidy. To get started with the dry ingredients, what you want to do is take 2 cups of a whole wheat pastry flour. I actually did not have a pastry flour. I just had a whole wheat bread flour, but I figured since we were doing muffins, it would work perfectly fine, and it really did work perfectly fine. You're going to add 1/2 cup of sugar. Now it does say you can use coconut sugar or a natural cane sugar. That's what I used, was a natural cane sugar. And then 1/3 cup of an unsweetened cocoa powder, and then it says make sure it's sifted. And then you're going to add 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt, and then you want to just whisk that together until it's all combined. Then you're going to come in and you are going to add 3 tablespoons of a pure maple syrup, 1 teaspoon of a vanilla extract, and oh, the other thing that I also forgot to mention at the beginning, it does recommend using 1 1/4 cup of a non-dairy milk because this is a vegan cookbook that I'm actually getting this from. And then it also says 2 teaspoons of an apple cider vinegar and mix it together. So essentially what you're doing is making a buttermilk, but I actually had buttermilk that I actually had to get used up. So I used 1 1/4 cup of buttermilk in this, but if you don't have it, you just have regular milk, just add a little bit of vinegar or lemon juice to that and that makes buttermilk. The recipe recommends taking 1 tablespoon of a ground flaxseed seed and mixing that together with 3 tablespoons of water. That is a vegan replacement for an egg. I have eggs in plenty, like the chickens are really laying now, so we're just gonna use an egg in this. So you're gonna stir that in also, and then if you want, you can add in 2/3 cup of a chopped walnut. I decided to omit them. And then you're gonna add 1/3 cup of a mini dark chocolate chip. I just used a semi-sweet in this. Just stir it together, and then you wanna gently fold in 1 1/4 cup of a lightly packed grated zucchini. It says about half a medium zucchini. I have my oven preheated at 350 degrees, and I started these at 17 minutes. I had to take them out 2 different times, so I had to almost increase it by an additional 20 minutes to get these to completely cook through. So in total, this took probably about 40 minutes to cook. But once they were cooked through, they were really delicious. So that is going to be the last meal for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope it gave you a little inspiration for your upcoming meals. Have a great day or night whenever you're watching this, and I will see you on the next video. Bye guys.